Welcome back to Team 6K. This is Undead, and today we are going to talk about Goukis. Before we get into the video, be sure to check out our last video if you haven't already. Join the Discord, link in description, and on Saturday nights we are streaming, so be sure to check us out on Twitch. So guys, Gouki is fairly simple in concept, but in execution there's a few things you might not know without some experience or without somebody letting you know. Basically, every Gouki has the hard ones per turn effect that if they are sent to grave, they can search for any other Gouki card. Yes, card, not monster, meaning it can search monsters and back row. We take advantage of this by searching for our two spells, one of which is a big extension play and the other of which is a win condition. So the first one is Gouki Rematch. It summons two Goukis from grave in defense position. So you can imagine that if you can get two Goukis in grave, you can use one of them to search for this and then get both of those Goukis back. How do we get those Goukis in grave though? We're going to use two of them to go into our first link monster, Gouki Jet Ogre. To be real with you, the fact that this is a link to Gouki is the best aspect of this card. Just putting two Goukis in grave so they can get your searches going. It's pretty much good enough for this guy, but his effects can be pretty nice. If your opponent's monsters are in defense mode and you want to attack into them for damage, you can destroy one of your Gouki cards to change everything into attack mode. It could also technically be used to change the monsters you revived for Gouki Rematch to attack mode so you could attack in with them. But both of the uses of this effect aren't going to be all that useful for the majority of games. But if Jet Ogre goes to grave, he also buffs all of the Goukis on your field by 500 attack for the turn. That's pretty cool for going in for damage too. You can begin to see that the Goukis are really trying to do some damage, but this is only just the beginning. So basically the idea is that you can get two Goukis on the field, link them off into Jet Ogre, using the floating effects of the Goukis you use to search for a Gouki Rematch and another Gouki card. Then you can use the Gouki Rematch to revive your Goukis so that you can go into higher link plays, all for the low cost of a couple of Goukis on the field. Before we talk about those bigger links that we want to go into, how are we going to get our two Goukis on the field in the first place? The best way we have is by using Gouki Suplex. We will summon another Gouki from the hand on normal summon. Super simple. This is the one we're hoping to have, so we will always play 3 copies of this, and the 1 copy of reinforcement of the army to search for it because all the Goukis are warriors. But if we don't have this, there is another way to get 2 monsters on the field, though it isn't as strong, that being Gouki Headbat. This one can discard a Gouki monster to summon itself and buff your Gouki that is already on the field by 800 attack. So you could normal summon a Gouki, then summon this alongside it by discarding another one. The fact that this will cost 3 Goukis from the hand to get 2 on the field is rough. However, getting another differently named Gouki in the grave will allow for an additional search if we revive it with Rematch and link it up. The other good thing about Headbat is that you can use it after using Suplex as a combo extender or as a way to help play through interruption. The rest of the Goukis in the deck are there as different names for searches and also for their own unique abilities, which we'll get into later. The bigger links we go into are often going to depend on the situations we find ourselves in. Different situations ask for different ways to deal with them, of course. Regardless of which one we go into, the way this deck aims to win the duel is with the other searchable power spell of the deck, Gouki Finishing Move. Damn, that's a good name. This one targets a Gouki link you control and gives it a bonus stack attack for all of its link ratings. So if it's a link 2, it gains 2k attack. If it's a link 3, it gains 3k attack. And if it's a link 4, it gains 4k attack. God damn, that is huge. It also lets that link do piercing damage, so your opponents really can't let your guy attack or they are completely done for. It also prevents you from attacking with anything except Goukis, as if that was going to make any difference at all. After boosting our Gouki link to an immense number, it's only going to be a 1 punch needed for us to win the game. It doesn't even really matter which of your big Gouki links you go into. This card will turn opponent into a one-shot, so you can feel free to pick the right Gouki for the situation. A great choice is Gouki Great Ogre. It causes all monsters on the field to lose attack equal to their defense. Of course, this won't affect link monsters because they don't have a defense value, but you'd be surprised how many monsters have just the right amount of defense for this nerf to their attack to be super relevant. And this won't affect any of the Goukis because they all have 0 defense. And if this guy would be destroyed, you can destroy a monster that this guy points to instead, and since all of his link arrows go downward, you can easily keep one of your Goukis under him to give him that protection, and he will become 5600 attack with the finishing move, and your opponent will be likely to have a monster with 1600 or less attack or defense, especially with his effect, and you'll be able to one-shot the opponent with him. The other main choice you're going to be aiming for is Gouki the Master Ogre. It's a link 4 that is going to be more difficult to go into than Great Ogre, especially because you're still going to need a Gouki for it to point to in order to take full advantage of this guy's effect. Master Ogre has the quick effect to return any amount of Goukis you control that he points to your hand in order to target that amount of cards your opponent controls and negate them. You can also attack all of your opponent's monsters once each. The one technical downside of this guy is that he has to attack your opponent's biggest monster before attacking the smaller monsters. But being a link 4 that can attack all of your opponent's monsters and being boosted by 4k by the finishing move and allowed to pierce, this guy alongside any Gouki to return to hand to help prevent the opponent from stopping your attack is almost definitely going to be winning the game. It's also nice to summon this turn 1 in order to negate something from your opponent in order to make it harder for them to set up a defense against you or to mount an offense against you. The last link is here to help us get more monsters on the field. With the amount of searching we do, we are often going to be in situations where we have already used our normal summon and all of our available special summons. If you feel like you need more monsters on the field, for example, to get the benefits of having a Gouki for your link monsters to point to after you've summoned whichever Bink link you feel like you need. And this guy helps with that because he grants a bonus normal summon to the turn player to a zone that this guy points to. So if this guy remains on the field on your opponent's turn, they will also get a bonus normal summon to the upward zone that this guy points to. Hopefully though, we are either going to use this guy as material for Master Ogre, or you will have won the game already before the opponent gets another turn. Having a bonus normal summon on your own turn to the zone that this guy points to on your field allows you to make really good use of the bonus searches you're going to be getting throughout your plays. There aren't that many good main deck Goukis. The ones that are good, we play. It would be a lot better if they all had ways to special summon themselves or something else like TGs, but it's great that they can at least all float into a search immediately, unlike TGs. Regardless, other than the Suprex and the Headback as our special summoners, we do need to have more names for the searches and for more chance of having enough Goukis in hand. The 3 utility Goukis that Gouki players choose are Twist Cobra, Scorpio, and Octo Stretch. Twist Cobra is kinda cool because it has the quick effect to tribute a Gouki you control to have another of your Goukis gain attack equal to the attack of the Gouki you attributed. This deck doesn't necessarily have an issue getting damage in, but if your opponent wants to remove or otherwise interrupt one of your Goukis, you could use the Twist Cobra in response to get rid of that Gouki without sacrificing the attack points on your field that the monster would be taking with it to the grave. If you tribute one of your main deck monsters, including itself, you'll also be able to search a Gouki, which is nice to potentially search for Headbat to extend or something to discard for the Headbat. Gouki players play 2 or 3 copies of these because its effect is certainly very useful, but at the end of the day it doesn't get your play started, so it isn't as important as the play starters. Scorpio can be normal summoned if you control no monsters without tributes, or if all your monsters you control are Goukis, also without tributing. The only unique thing about this guy is that he has 2300 attack. Sometimes all you need is some chunky normal summon beater, and honestly being a normal summonable beater is better than the Goukis that we aren't playing. Octo Stretch is great for a survivability play. You can discard it upon an opponent's attack to allow you to take half of the damage from that battle. Being able to search the 1 copy of this just to help you get another turn can be deadly, especially with the OTK power of this deck. Some hands you are going to prefer to just set a monster in some back row, and then when your own monster dies you could search for this to guarantee a follow-up, and then you'll be able to hopefully go for game that way. Speaking of back row though, yes, we are going to be in some situations where we can't really get the combo off, because this deck is fairly consistent, but not quite consistent enough to get a combo going on the first turn every duel, but the deck can mitigate that weakness by including back row to validate the play of setting a monster. To be real with you, the back row you choose to play is completely up to you, your personal preference, whichever back row you think would help you the most with how you see the deck's game plan, how you want to navigate other important matchups in the game. So definitely feel free to think about your options here, as there are many good ones. A popular choice for Gouki players is Expendable Dae, which tributes a warrior monster to target and destroy any card on the field and then draw a card. So being able to destroy any of your opponent's cards during their plays gives some versatility for how you might want to stop them. Also, the fact that you're tributing a Gouki means that you will be able to get a search for any Gouki to go alongside the free card that you're going to draw after destroying a card. You might choose not to play Dae, as many decks aren't hurt too much by it, but the versatility and its ability to help towards the follow-up play cannot be ignored. I'm also playing a couple copies of Needle Sealing, act as like a 4th and 5th copy of Expendable Dae. You won't draw a card, but it might still trigger your Goukis, and it will destroy more of the opponent's monsters, so it's something to consider. Forbidden Chalice is one of the most popular staples in the format right now for its ability to turn off the opponent's play enablers, and also there's boss monsters from stopping your plays. This can be quite helpful for getting towards your OTK play because the deck's floating, and the fact that the deck has access to Gouki Rematch makes the deck pretty decent against back row based interruptions. We have one of each of the Nightmare links that remove things. Just remember that you can't use these guys as material for the big Gouki links, so you're probably going to want to go into these as a last resort or as something you can do after going into your big link of choice. Definitely don't take the impact card choices I am showing here as gospel though. Feel free to play back row removal or more non-destructive traps. Play whatever you feel is best. As I am not here to tell you how to build your deck, I'm just here to show you how to play it. Let's just get into the combo tutorial, shall we? Alright, so the main combo, the very simple combo, the simplistic combo of the deck basically just requires that you have any way to get 2 on the field, that being a Gouki Headbat and 2 other Goukis, or Gouki Suprex and anything else. So I do have the Gouki Suprex, who is the best one. I also have the Headbat though, so that's pretty cool. It is pretty consistent because we do play 3 copies of each. So we got the Gouki Suprex, gonna activate its effect. Summon that Twist Cobra if you do have the choice, then keep the Headbat in hand for a potential follow-up. So I'm gonna use these 2 for a Gouki Jet Ogre. Of course, Jet Ogre's effect is not that relevant, but the fact that it's a link 2 means we can get our 2 Goukis off the field, so we can use their search abilities. So very simple. What we're going to do is search for a Gouki Rematch, and the other thing you search for is going to depend on what you're trying to go for personally. But for the simplest OTK combo, all you need is to search for the rematch and the finishing move. So going to use that rematch real quick, revive both of our Goukis, and they'll summon them in defense mode. Okay, so I'm going to summon this one here and this one here. Then I'm going to link these guys off into Gouki the Great Ogre, this one and this one. So we'll have these 2 here. Jet Ogre can activate in the grave to boost him up, and technically him up 2 by 500. And then we're going to use the Gouki finishing move on your copy of Gouki the Great Ogre. He can now pierce, he can now attack in for 6k damage, and that is going to be a GG in the majority of cases. And of course, to flex, we can also use the 3 effects skill on our Gouki Great Ogre, gain life points, so that's an additional 6100, that is over 10k life. And that's the simplest, and the reason that we want to have a Gouki for it to point to is because it will protect itself from destruction by replacing its destruction with a Gouki Suprex. So the next combo I'm going to show you is basically how you're going to go into the Gouki Master Ogre. It is almost exactly the same combo, you just need to get 1 additional Gouki on the field. So I do have the reinforcement of the army to give me what I want here. I'm going to get a Gouki Twist Cobra in this situation. Then I'm going to normal summon that Suprex, summon a Twist Cobra, just any way to get 2 monsters on the field, link them off into Gouki Jet Ogre, get those searches off real quick. So in order to get an additional summon, of course we're still going to use that Gouki Rematch, but that additional summon that we're going to go for is the Gouki Headbat generally, because it special summons itself if we have another Gouki. So I can use this Gouki Octo Stretch as discard fodder, and I am going to do that. And the reason I might want to do that is because Gouki Octo Stretch or any other Gouki that I have not used the floating effect of just yet would actually get more value from that Gouki rematch. I am going to use that Gouki rematch to revive 2 monsters, one of them being the Gouki Octo Stretch so I can get bonus, and I do like to summon the Twist Cobra if I can, so that I can get, you know, if the opponent wants to interrupt me in some way, then the Twist Cobra can basically help me out a little bit, like I explained earlier. And you know, I have the right amount of materials for a Link 4 plus another monster for the Master Ogre to point to. And just kind of like the Great Ogre, it doesn't technically matter where the, you know, the bonus Gouki is. I do tend to put him in the middle. As long as you have him in a zone that he will be pointing to something, then it's all good. So of course I'm going to be using the Gouki Jet Ogre and a couple of other monsters. I tend to like keeping that Twist Cobra there, you know, because it also has a quickie. Gouki Headbat will boost me up here. Octo Stretch will also get me a bonus search. Jet Ogre, of course, getting that boost off. So I'm getting my searches here, so I can search for a follow-up Suprex. I happen to open the finishing move, but of course, on the follow-up turn, the idea is I might do this turn 1. And if I'm going second with this combo, then instead of the Rescorpio, I might have searched for the finishing move anyway. But if it was going turn 1, then I would have used these on that follow-up turn to get another playoff, then search for the finishing move. Either way, here I have a negate and a follow-up and an OTK ability, and of course, since I am going first, then of course I'm always gonna, you know, gain life points equal to my Link monster's attack. That's a lot of life points. It's going to be very difficult to kill us with all these life points and a negate. Sometimes going to be situations where you don't have any combos at all you have is back row and a Gouki, but that's just life. It just happens sometimes. In that situation, we're not dead. This is pretty much the only deck in Duel Links that I feel like setting a monster is fine, because, you know, if it does die, like for example by an expendable die, then it will at least get a floating off. And really, this is an imposing field for many people. A lot of people will look at this and be like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this, because, you know, I'm going to interrupt the opponent in however many different ways, and I'm going to be pretty much guaranteed a follow-up play with a card that the expendable die is going to draw, and with a search from the Gouki Headbat. So it's going to be very difficult not to just immediately win the game on my next turn, after interrupting the absolute hell out of my opponent with these back row. So another thing we should probably talk about when it comes to Goukis is your resource management. Now and then you are going to have hands that can do a hell of a lot of summoning, and in those cases you might want to consider your follow-up. Often your hand will just let you OTK without any worries, but if the opponent is interrupting you, those extra summon heavy hands are going to be great against them to help secure that OTK. But if you are going first with that same hand, it might be worth considering holding back a little bit, reserving your resources, so that if the opponent is able to hurt you more than you thought you could deal with, you might still have your Gouki rematch to use, or you still might have some of your other bonus summons available to use. Some Gouki players like to reserve their resources in a hand that might be able to profitably summon Master Ogre turn 1, by instead holding back a little bit and summoning Great Ogre to nerf the opponent's monsters continuously with a bit of protection. It isn't the strongest board, but it might better secure the OTK follow-up on your next turn. Another way to make this or any of your other turn 1 plays even more protective is by using the skill 3 effects to gain life points equal to your Gouki Link monster's attack. Those extra life points alongside a potential Octo Stretch will make surviving pretty easy. Of course, after we boost up our Link monster with finishing move, we are going to gain all of those attack points into our life points with our skill 2, but this is 20% a backup plan in case the OTK fails, and 80% a flex on the opponent for how overwhelming our win is about to be. This is why for a while, some months ago, Goukis were the most popular deck in the game. When this deck wins, it wins overwhelmingly, and it has the power, playthrough ability, and consistency to win very often, as long as you know how to take advantage of it right. This deck does not take long to master by any means, but once you do become a master, you will begin to see the tiny decisions you can make that can add up to a higher chance of winning, if not a more overwhelming win. Yeah guys, let's just get into the replay, shall we? So I'm going first here with a very monster heavy hand, so I'm going to use that Suprex, get out that Twist Cobra, link him off into Jet Ogre. As always, get 2 searches off. It's absolutely busted. I already have rematch, but if I didn't have it, I would have searched for something else. Gonna get that Rescorpio and another copy of Suprex for a follow-up play. Headbat is gonna discard the Rescorpio since I haven't got its floating effect off. Then I go into Thunder Ogre. The Headbat is going, you know, and the Jet Ogre is gonna boost me up, but the Headbat is gonna search an Octo Stretch for a bit of a follow-up play. Then I'm going to use rematch to revive 2 monsters monsters, that being 2 monsters that have not floated yet. And then I can link these 2 off into Master Ogre. Oh man. Then Scorpio can get another search. Look at all of this follow-up plays we got. And then I can boost myself up here. And I have a negate. And look at all that follow-up play and survivability that I've got. So the opponent is playing Nekroz, which is going to be cool. We have only 1 negate, but if we use it at the right time, it can be very, very good. So he's going to use Nekroz Cycle. I'm not going to negate it. He's going to go into Brionek and not activate it. He's trying to bait me out here. But he's going to, you know, get that Trishula. That Trishula is what he actually wants. So he's going to use Nekroz Mirror. I'm going to negate the Nekroz Mirror here, because I'm much more willing to have this guy, you know, get rid of this guy than have him banish the 3 cards with a Trishula. So he's not going to be able to kill me, which is exactly what I planned. And now I have a whole grip. Look at all this follow-up play I can do. So I'm going to, you know, suplex into Headbat, into Jet Ogre, and I can still use the Headbat special summon effect as well. I'm going to get that finishing move, and I'm also going to get a Twist Cobra. Headbat is going to discard the Octo Stretch. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to link off, go into Gouki the Great Ogre, which is going to reduce him by quite a lot. I'm going to use finishing move, go into battle phase, he scoops it up. It's GG's. Team 6K. Alright, I'm going first with a very simplistic combo. Suplex is going to summon a Headbat. I'm going to use these 2 to go into Jet Ogre. Suplex and Headbat are going to search me a couple of things here. Just going to get that rematch, the Twist Cobra. And I'm going to use that rematch, resummon a couple of things, and here's the play here. So I'm going to use 2 of them to go into Gouki Thunder Ogre, making sure that nothing is pointing to this zone when I do so that I can get the bonus normal summon here. So Thunder Ogre is going to normal summon that Twist Cobra. I'm going to go into Master Ogre, and here I have 3 effects to gain me a bunch of life points, a couple of back row. I have this to return my Twist Cobra to the hand to negate 1 thing. If they try to remove something, the Twist Cobra can remove it in response to keep the same amount of attack points on the field. And yeah, so he's summoning Blue Eyes here. I'm just going to go right ahead and use Expendable Die to get rid of it. Twist Cobra is going to get me a follow-up search here for that Gouki Suplex. It's not going to be good for him. So I'm going to summon Gouki Suplex, summon Twist Cobra, go into Jet Ogre. It's already game at this point, bro. I already have lethal, but it keeps going. It just keeps going. The follow-up plays in this deck are absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to get Headbat and finishing move. Headbat's going to summon. He's going to scoop it up because the writing is on the wall. So my opponent is going first here. I know it sounds silly, but this deck is supposed to be a going second deck, even though I've gone first twice. This guy playing Rockets, but as many Rocket players do, they play too much back row in the deck, and so therefore he has bricked. But not too much of a brick. I still have to deal with these back row here. I don't quite know what they are. So Gouki Suplex is going to summon the Twist Cobra, going to Link 2. You know, even if he does interrupt me here, I do have quite a lot of follow-up here. So rematch and another Gouki to discard for the Headbat, which I'm going to do here. Then I can link these 2 off into a Thunder Ogre so I can get a bonus a normal summon. So Headbat is going to get me a search for another Gouki monster, that being an Octo Stretch for potential survivability. Then the rematch is going to revive the Scorpio, and the Headbat are going to go into Master Ogre. He's going to be here so that he can point to the Headbat. I'm going to search for a Suplex here, and I'm going to boost myself up. This is going to be my finishing move. I'm going to boost up my life points. He's going to use MST, and he's pinned. He's pinned now. Now that he's in the situation of having to face against a Gouki Master Ogre, he is pinned in the situation of if he does not kick out, he loses the match. So 1, 2, 3, it's over. So yeah guys, Gouki's is goddamn OP, and I'm glad that it's off the ban list again. We can all play it at pretty much full power. Let me know how you guys feel about Gouki's in the comments. If you guys have any questions about how the deck operates or about the deck in general, be sure to leave them in the comments or on Discord and we can talk about it. If you like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, hit that bell to get notified every time we make a new video. And I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean, so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream, so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon, they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For